Hi, in this video, we're going to be showing you how to assemble this bookcase. Before we get started, here's a few things to keep in mind. Make sure you have a Phillips head screwdriver. Be sure to set aside enough time for assembly, and just make sure all the pieces are facing the right way as you're putting it together, and you'll do great. We are going to focus on the trickier parts and go quickly through the easier steps. So make sure you pause the video and complete all the steps as we go. With that said, let's get into it. In steps 1 and 2, we'll put cam bolts into pieces 2, 3, 4, and 5. Once we have all of those in, then we can move on to steps 3 and 4, and we'll attach pieces 2 and 4 and 3 and 5. So we'll want to stand up our long pieces so that these cam bolts are on the bottom side. And then we'll insert 4 dowels. And then we'll line these pieces up, making sure that all of the bolts and dowels go into the correct holes. And then we can secure that with 4 cam locks. And then we'll do the same thing again for our next pair of pieces. Okay, then we're good to move on. In step 5, we'll be putting together these 2 pieces. So we'll start by putting 2 cam bolts into the bigger shelf piece here. And then next we'll put in 2 dowels. And then we'll line up this piece, making sure that these cam lock holes are facing inwards. And then we can secure that with our cam locks. Okay, we're good to move on. In step 6, we'll start attaching the sides and the shelves. So we'll take this piece that we just put together, and we'll put 2 dowels into the side here. And then we'll line this up with our cam bolts. And you want to be sure that this overhang is on the same side as this one here. We can secure that in place with our cam locks. Next, we'll take this shelf and we'll put 2 dowels into this piece. We'll line this one up with our cam bolts. We'll secure that in place with our cam locks as well. Then we can put 2 more dowels into each shelf. And then we'll attach the other side and secure that with cam locks as well. And then we're good to move on. Next, in step 7, we'll take these brackets and fit them into the corners right here. And we'll secure those with 2 screws. Okay, then we can move on to step 8, so we'll straighten this out. And then we can slide in our back panel from the top side with this tape facing out towards the back. Once you have the back panel in, make sure to secure it with these 4 screws, and then we're good to move on. At step 9, we'll be putting cam bolts into both of these pieces and then attaching them together. Okay, once we have all those cam bolts in, then we'll also put 2 dowels into this piece. And then we'll also take these plates and line them up with the holes on the sides here. We'll secure those with 2 screws. Next, we'll stand up this piece so that the bolts are on the bottom half, and we'll line them up with this piece here. And then we'll secure that with 3 cam locks. Okay, and then we're good to move on. In steps 10 and 11, we'll be attaching the top piece to the rest of our bookshelf. So we'll stand this up, making sure the overhang is on the front, and this groove lines up with the back panel. And we'll also insert 2 dowels onto each side of this piece. And then we'll need to make sure to line this up on both sides and with the back panel. And then we can secure that with 2 cam locks on each side. And then you'll also want to make sure to put 2 screws into each of the metal plates on each side, and then we're good to move on. In steps 12 and 13, we'll be inserting our shelves and our shelf pegs. So we'll start by inserting our pegs, and we'll put 4 in for each shelf. And you can put these at any height you want, but we'll be inserting them into the middle hole. Once we have all of our pegs in, then we'll insert the shelves. We'll put both the pieces 8 on the top and 11 will go on the bottom. Once we have all of the shelves in, then we can move on to step 14, and we'll be inserting the blocks into our bottom piece here. We'll start by inserting 2 dowels into the bottom side of each block. So it should look like this. Next, we'll line up the blocks on the inside of the piece, making sure that this single hole is facing inwards and the 2 are on the outer side. So it'll go just like this. We'll line those up with the dowel holes, and then we'll secure those with screws. All right, once we have those secured, then we're good to move on. In step 15, we'll be attaching our hinges to the inside of our doors. So we'll just want to fit this into the groove right here and line up those 2 screw holes. Once we have those attached to our doors, then we can attach the doors to our piece. So we'll start by taking this one. And you want to make sure that this angled edge is on the top. We'll straighten out our hinges. And it usually helps by putting a screw in through the screw hole first. And then we'll line this up with our piece. And then we'll put a screw in the bottom as well, just to hold the door in place. And then we can put in the rest of our screws. Okay, once we have the doors on, we'll also add these sticky pads to the insides just to stop the doors from hitting our shelf. And then we'll close those doors and make sure that everything lines up. And if you need any help adjusting your hinges, you can check out our video on that. But otherwise, we're good to move on. In step 18, we'll be inserting the wedges into our back panel to help hold it in place. So we'll stick this in, making sure that this overhang side goes into the piece. And then we'll put in our screw. So it should look like that, and then we'll repeat this process for the rest of our wedges. Okay, once we have those in, then we're all done. We hope this video was helpful for you in assembling your new bookcase. For more guides, tips, and tricks, head on over to walkeredison.com.